I'm sure all this time you've been asking yourself the same question over and over again. Ne? How is the soil formed? Well, don't worry about that anymore because I'm here for you. Today is the day you're gonna get your answer. Welcome to our online free lesson classes for the grade 9 geography, where we thrive to excel and inspire one another. Today, this platform will give you the opportunity to learn today and lead a brighter future tomorrow, of course. Today, we are going to be talking about weathering and erosion, which are the two main processes that breaks down the rock and forming the soil. Did you hear that? Breaking down the rock and forming the soil. Yes. First question, what is weathering? It is the breaking down of big rocks into small pieces. It can either be physical or chemical, but this rock needs to break down from big to small pieces. While erosion itself, it is the movement of these small pieces from that particular places that are broken down to the other place. But the key difference that you must focus on between weathering and erosion. The weathering, the rock is only broken down and it is not moved. But with erosion, the rock will move from one place to the other. It will either be transported by wind or by the river, or it can either be the rock falling from the higher mountains to the lower surface areas. The soil is being broken down. We hear the rock, the rock is moving, the mountain is jumping. But what is happening, don't stress. I am here for you. Good night. Before we confuse ourselves talking about two processes at the same time, let's rather focus on one process, which is weathering. So what you need to bear in mind, is that what are the three types of weatherings that we need to know before the end of this video. Grade 9, there are three types of weatherings that we need to know before the end of this video. The first type is physical weathering, and the second type is chemical weathering. The third type is biological weathering. Do not be worried about these big words, physical, chemical, and biological, because we are going to break it down together. Physical basically means you can see the rock breaking with your own eyes, but still the rock will not go under any changes. It will remain the same rock. But the first question that we are going to ask ourselves is that, how does this rock break? Because we can see it breaking. Here it is breaking, but how does it break? So under physical weathering, the first factor that is going to affect the rock to undergo the changes, it is temperature changes. Did you hear that? Write it down. Temperature changes. This is the first factor under physical weathering that will contribute into breaking down the rock, because at the end we want to see the rock breaking down. Temperature changes happens during the night and during the day. During the day, the rock has cracks in it. So the heat that comes from the sun during the day will hit the rock, and then the rock will start to relax and expand. So when it rains during the day, the water of the rain will be stored inside these cracks of the rock. So now let's find out what is happening during the night. Busiku, this water that entered inside the rock will then start to ice. And what happens when it ices? It makes the cracks of the rock to be more wider. It pushes the rock side to side, because this water now it is becoming iced. So what do we call this process when the rock relaxes and when the rock contracts during the night? This whole process is called exfoliation. So motshegare ha le njole le ntse le buduluga yana metsi a tsena bosigo le njole le kukugala le aisa, that process of the rock expanding and contracting, we call it exfoliation. Write it down. Exfoliation. Do not forget that we are still dealing with physical weathering. We are not yet into another types of weathering. The second factor that will influence the stone broken down into physical weathering, it is pressure release. Pressure release, when these broken parts of the stone are being moved away by erosion, the rock underground, deep underground, is releasing pressure, so it is becoming lighter. You understand? So by it becoming lighter, it is easy for it to break down. It will start cracking and the water will be able to penetrate through easily also. Just like, let's make an example. How image mo bophelong o na le mathata, o na le ditsietsi. Rona re be re tla mo go wena as motho, as moagisane, or maybe a friend, motsadi. Re tla re tlo go imolola and help you with your problems. You feel lighter at the end and then you release the pressure. You no longer feel pressurized, right? So this is the same situation that is happening with the rock. And then the third factor under physical weathering, it is abrasion. So this word, it simply means these rocks, they are fighting against each other, but not literally these rocks are coming together and be like, okay, wait, not like that. How does it work? It can either be inside the water when the water is running and there are rocks inside the water, and those rocks come together and rub against each other and then they start breaking. Or it can either be during windy days when there's too much wind and then the wind pushes the one stone to another and that stone will jump into one another and break each other. You see, because of at the end, we want the rocks to break, grade 9. We want the rocks to break. What you must remember always is weathering is breaking down the rock in order to make a soil, right? Yes. So let's recap quickly under physical weathering, grade 9, for what we have done. We already mentioned that physical weathering, you can see the rock itself breaking down. But this rock does not change to be another rock. It remains the same rock. It does not undergo any changes. And then we continued by saying there are factors, 3 factors that contribute into breaking down this rock that you can see breaking. The first factor that we have discussed, we said it is temperature changes. This happens during the day and during the night. During the day, when it rains, that water will enter inside the cracks of the rock. And during the night, what will happen? The same water that is inside the cracks of the rock will then ice, making the crack to grow bigger and wider. So tomorrow when this water melts, when we see the crack will be much bigger. And then again, the same process will follow and follow until the crack breaks. And then the second one that we have discussed, grade 9, is that we talked about pressure release, that these small pieces that are broken down, they are being eroded by the running surface water. The rock will start releasing pressure, and then after releasing pressure, it will start cracking and then be able to allow water to get inside and crack more. The third one, we said it is abrasion. And what you must know about abrasion is that the rocks have to come against each other and rub and break. One rock coming against each other. It can be a rock falling from the mountain to the lower surface area and it hits another rock and then that rock breaks. You see how simple is it? Or it can be inside the river when the river is running and the rock is running with the river and then that rock is going to chase another rock. You see how it is? I'm really happy, grade 9. I'm really happy. We have made it so far, you and I, with so much of your concentration, and I am hoping you are taking notes. Look, you were complaining earlier, and I hope you understand better. We continue to the second type of weathering that we are going to discuss, which is chemical weathering. Anything that has to do with chemicals has to change. Chemicals change the process. So now, in this case, it means that the rock that will break, it will break, yes, but then it will undergo changes. For example, let's make an example. When the water enters inside the crack of the rock and then the crack has acid, when it gets hotter, what will happen to that water and acid? The acid will make the rock to be crusty, to change its shape, to change its color. Alright, grade 9, the last one that we are going to discuss, it is biological weathering. I've already told you that do not be worried about these big words. Biological, it simply means something that is living, something that has life in it. Well, understand that. So how does it happen? It is when human beings or animals, or it can even be plants, when they physically break down these rocks. How do human beings break down these rocks? It can be maybe mining, when our fathers, our uncles, and whoever, they are mining there. What do they do underground? They are busy breaking down this rock with their hands, maybe to take out gold or something. So with animal, guys, you know that we have big animals like elephants. They can just step on a rock and a rock can break, because already the rock has been undergoing weathering throughout the years. Remember the process that it takes many years to occur. So when that animal, an elephant, comes and step on that rock, it will be easy for that rock to break. And how do plants also break these rocks? The roots of the plant can penetrate in those cracks of the rocks, and what will happen while it is penetrating in the cracks of the rock, it can separate and make the crack to be more wider and bigger until the rock separates and break, because at the end of the results we are looking for the rock that will break. Of course, grade 9, it would be so unfair of me to give you such a great lesson and then when I'm done, give you some homework. Kanjani. So this work is to just remind you of what we have done and to test your knowledge so far of what we have learned in today's lesson. Remember, on our next lesson, we'll be talking about erosion and deposition. So go and study grade 9 and I'll see you on our next session. Love you. Mwah.